Hi there. Thank you for your interest in the monthly caseload manager for speech therapy. I've started you off here on the instructions tab. This is a big database which will keep track of virtually everything to do with your student caseload. So here's the instructions that I've written that are more detailed than what I'll go into today. There's a quick start guide, and then each page has its own little area that has specific instructions for your reference. So the first place you're going to go to is the master list, and you're going to put each child's name in here, and it's fit for 100. And once you get this one set up, alphabetized or whatever, however the way you like it, either by school or age or grade or whatever, set it like that, and then you cannot change the order. You can add students to the bottom, and that's no problem, but you cannot change the order once you have it set, because then that'll mess up all the formulas that follow it. So get it set the way you like it, and then if you get some new kids over the year, you just have to add them at the bottom. So I've put a kid in here named JJ. His date of birth is 12/2/02. I put that in. This automatically calculated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, if I change that date of birth and I make it 04, you can see here that this changed to 12. So that makes him, what, about a 7th grader? So I'll put that in there. I have all these options for what kind of eligibility category he's in. And then his last eval date, I have a date picker that comes up if you double click, was the 5th, let's say. And then you'll see here that this calculated automatically his next speech eval 3 years down the road. And what this will do is within a month of this date, this will turn yellow to bring your attention to the fact that you have a reeval coming up. You can put therapy type in if you like. These are all your different options. That's just for your reference. And he's going to get 30 minutes per session. And I only see him once a week, so he's going to get 30 minutes per week per the IEP. And of course, this can be any variety of things. So your next, and this kind of, I just want to emphasize that this master list is where everything feeds from. So you want to make sure that this is correct and don't mess with it once it's done. Okay, your next sheet is the schedule. This is just a very basic schedule that you can fill in and add each student in blocks and groups or however you want to do it. That one's pretty easy. And then as you have reports, if you have quarterly or end of the year reports or semi-annual reports, you can just put in their name. And if you'll notice, I didn't put this in. This calculated and populated from the master list. So as you go down, you can say, oh, okay, my first quarterly one, it's finished. And then when you've finished it and you've submitted it, and you could put submitted, and it'll turn yellow to let you know that, okay, that one's done and turned in. Okay, so the workhorse of this whole spreadsheet are all these DTs. Those are the daily trackers, and I have you here on August DT. So let's say that right here is where I want to bring your attention to, where your hours as a therapist are going to be inputted. So let's say you came in at 8, you left at 12, you clocked back in at 12:30, and then you left at 4. And so all those hours are calculated. And this is a date picker, so that as soon as you click on that, it will bring up a calendar and you can just click the date, and then it tells you how many hours you worked on that day. This is great for contractors and if employees want to keep track of it too. Okay, so that's the therapist hours. Now the student hours, this is JJ, and as you can see, I didn't have to put him in there because he was in there from the master list. So it was his grade. I didn't have to do that. And so on that day, 5/10, I gave him 30 minutes of individual. And then on another day, which let's say it was 5/17, I gave him 30 minutes of individual. And let's say on 5/24, he was 15 minutes late, so he only got 15 minutes. Okay. And then let's say on the 31st, he was absent. So I'm going to put, these are all my options for other things that are not therapy. So that's absent, okay? So absent can have no hours, or If it's a no-show or a late, like this one was, you can put how many minutes late. And I like to do that because then if there's ever a question as to why a student wasn't getting what they should have been getting, well, you can say, well, I was waiting and they were 15 minutes late 3 times every month. So I like that also for teletherapy. It works really well. Okay, so that's, let's just say that's all I have for August. But as you can see here, there's a lot of weeks in August. I've given you 5 weeks for every month because some months have 5 weeks. And then at the very end, it's going to tell you a summary of what has happened. So you can see there was 1 absence. And you can see also here that he was 15 minutes tardy and that he got 1.8 individual hours. So I don't really look at this one too much because there's another tab that actually summarizes that in a much better way, but I put that there just so that you'd have it. So every single daily tracker is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the month. So when September comes, you're going to do the same thing. And again, you don't have to put any of the names in here. They're already there for you. As you can see, as I go to each one, October, JJ's there and everything. November, JJ's going to be there. See, he came up. Okay. So we don't have to look through all of these because these are all the daily trackers. Now, the cool thing is, if you go to this log for admin, this is how you can show your administrator and yourself how many hours or minutes each student is getting. So JJ came from the master list, so did his grade. This also came from the master list because he was to get 30 minutes once a week for 4 weeks. So that's what he's supposed to get every month. So in August, he only got 105 minutes, and that's why it's kind of a light green because he's close to getting that 120, but he hasn't actually gotten it. So you can see in September, he's nowhere close to it because he hasn't had any hours in September. That's why that's red. Now, if I were to go back and give him some more hours and put it, some more minutes and put it near 120, it would turn this color green. So you'll know that if it's this color green, that you're good and they've met their minutes for that month. You can also kind of tell how they're meeting their minutes for the year because this is their yearly target total in minutes that calculated automatically. If they were late or absent, you can take that time will be automatically removed from time that's owed to them. So he was absent once, so that's why he had some time taken off. So that's a revised yearly target. So really it's this column that you're looking at. So say there was a school event or something like that, you're not obligated to make that up. So you have to take that off of the time that they were owed. This is where that column will do that. And it all does it automatically as long as you put it in the daily tracker that it was a school activity or they were absent or was a snow day or whatever. So this is the yearly summary, and he's only at 105, so that's why it's red, because he's not anywhere close to 945. But as the year goes on, as you can see, then this will get closer and closer to being green. So these over here are just for your information. This is all calculating automatically. I didn't have to put any of this in based on what you're putting in the daily trackers. And what I use this for is every month I download this as a PDF right here. And then I give that to my administrator, and that tells her how many hours each child has gotten that month, and then she has a cumulative idea of how much therapy each child is getting, and some states actually require that. So this is the tab I use a lot. Then the kindergarten screenings, if you're doing screenings, you can put the child's name, the date of birth, the chronological age will calculate, what test you gave, if it was a pass, fail, or a monitor, and the date that you screened them. And then this will also, so if you did 15 and 7 passed, it'll put 7 here, and the remainder here that were fails or monitors or whatever, and then your total that you happen to screen. And you can just do this over the course of the year, or if you do a big screening in the fall or in the spring, whatever. Then you can also keep track of dismissed students. You have to put their actual name in there and their grade, why they were dismissed. And I like to do this because if they were dismissed with their goals met, that looks great, or if they graduated or if they moved. And what I like about this is later on, this will calculate into an annual report how many kids you dismissed with goals met. And so speaking of the annual report, here is what you will get at the end of the year. And you can print this out. It prints on one page. So you can change this here. You can put what school, you can put your name, you can put whatever you like, because I left that open and editable for you. So all these things are going to calculate how many kindergarten screenings you did, how many screenings, how many hearing screenings, and so on. I only had one on the caseload this year because I only have JJ. I did do one evaluation. I must have put an eval somewhere when I was testing that. And he's my only student. And this you have to count and do at the end of the year by hand. It's the only thing you have to enter manually because things change at the end of the year. And you have to just do that by hand. So this is how many hours I delivered of therapy that year. The number of group hours, this was individual, this is group. How many were dismissed with goals met, like I mentioned a little while ago. How many graduated, how many moved, and then how many things that you did, IEP meetings, parent-teacher conference, how many students are on Medicaid, how many sessions were missed to district testing or to a school activity. If you're putting that on the daily tracker, it will calculate right here, and you'll tell yourself and your administrator at the end of the year, gee, we missed so much time because of school activities or district testing, which is kind of nice. And then you can have a breakdown of the kind of students you served by eligibility category, and JJ's here. You can see he's the one. And then if you want to make some notes about anything, you can submit it, submitted by, and then you can put your name in there. I put a signature, a PDF that I have of a signature. So that is the annual report, which I turn into my administrator every year, and it's really kind of fun. And then if you do your own billing, there is this one which I left very open because everybody's hourly rate is different, and sometimes you bill for evaluation separately, or IEPs are separate. So anyway, this is very loosely organized, and I have it, at least the date pickers are all there and easy, and then the service you can choose, then the therapy duration. And then you just have to calculate. If you're handy at all, you can make your own formulas, or else you can just calculate it by hand and put your totals in, and then this will calculate your totals for you. And then, of course, you'll have to put your own tax rate in. So unfortunately, this one cannot be customized because every state and county and district is different. And then the last thing that I have on here is just kind of a freebie. Why can't I think of their name? Oh, Owens and Pavelko have been doing lots of really interesting language sample analysis studies, and I got their permission to share this. This is a way that you can quickly do an analysis of your language samples. It tells you exactly how to calculate everything, and the website here, with more instructions, is right here, and all your norms are right here. So a couple other of these are really important for you to learn how to use this, and this takes a little bit of time to learn, but I use it a lot actually, because it's a really handy way for us to evaluate our language samples. So there is the summary of the whole caseload manager, and I'm telling you, this has saved my life and my sanity. I use the schedule, I refer to it, I don't know, 15 or 20 times a day, because I can't remember what kids I have where and at what time. So I use that a lot, and I also use this log for admin a lot. This is a really valuable one. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you like it, and I hope you give me some feedback if there's things that you'd like for me to include for my next update. Thank you. Bye.